That is one big pile of shit.
Hello and welcome to the Mouthfuls podcast, a movie podcast with zero table manners. Each episode will be tucking into movies and the odd television show to chow down on some of the most iconic cinematic cuisine scenes in cinema history, as well as just about everything else we can get our hands on. Yet again, I'm Jordan, the bloke trying to be known as the film fella online, and as always, I'm joined by the UK's #1 competitive eater. It's Beer Meets Food!
Guess who's back? Back again.
The podcast that was 65 million years in the making.
Oh, you've been rehearsing that one, haven't you? Oh,
Yeah.
That's a good tagline. I like it. Yeah, 4 weeks in a row. Feels good to be back.
Weird, isn't it? Every week I'm like, we're still doing this. I can't believe it.
This level of consistency is not alien to me. Maybe to you, but like I'm
Yeah, I'm trying to prove a point. I'm trying to prove a point to Beard that I can actually consistently do something that I set out to do after years of telling him that I want to do X, Y, and Z and never quite doing it.
On that topic, what are we doing today?
Well, if you didn't guess already, if you for some reason again clicked on this and not read all of the bump and all the marketing and all the push that I've probably put on Twitter beforehand, and you've not read the title of the podcast episode, we are doing Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Is that your Partridge?
That was my Alan Partridge, yeah.
I think each week so far we've mentioned the film that we've done next just in passing, just like slightly. So we mentioned to do the Condors last week. Can't remember in what context, or it might have been the week before. We definitely mentioned it, and I was like, this just seems like the obvious pick. Let's do Jurassic Park. It is my all-time favourite film. Like, nothing beats this for me. So this is where I would go. Super nerdy, even past my Marvel comic book obsession, because Beard's pulling a very funny face, but dinosaur, Jurassic Park, nut, growing up as a kid, and stuck with me.
I'll be sure to rein you in if you get a little too enthusiastic, you know.
I mean, there's some. I've shoved in some proper dinosaur talk into some of the facts for some of the food scenes, so you might want to reel me in at some point.
Well, you can be sure I will. Let's get to it.
Should we just jump straight into it, yeah?
Let's.
There we go. Nice.
Belting Lee, well done.
Belting prehistoric chuggy metal jam by Lee there.
Yeah, it was nice.
So it's very swampy, innit? I think those chugs. It could be out of like a Cretaceous swamp or something.
Could
like
be
that.
out of a protoplasmic age-old swamp from which life evolves. Yeah, almost.
Or this podcast evolved from, I guess.
Yeah.
We normally have like a general chat thing because, well, there's a few films that I hadn't seen before. There's some. When we mentioned we were doing The Founder, for example, a lot of people had never even heard of it, so it kind of made sense to sort of explain it. But this is Jurassic Park. It's like an icon of cinema. It's it's Jurassic Park, literally Partridge, Jurassic Park.
I mean, we should probably give it its due and do a little bit of a talk about it before we dive right into the food stuff. So you know what? Let me take the lead.
Go on. I'm going to say, right? Hand it over to you. Spared no expense. I was going to use good Beard. I stole his line.
Yeah, I was going to use that one as well. Damn. Yeah, so Jurassic Park, you're right. I would imagine 90% of the people on planet Earth have probably seen it, or at least heard of it. But yeah, based on a Michael Crichton novel, right?
It is indeed.
About a scientifically spurious way in which dinosaurs can be cloned. It's done in the interest of creating kind of like a theme park for entertainment and money-making sake. And they get some dino specialists, a lawyer, and a chaos theory mathematician to kind of sign off on this park. And things go awry. The dinos get loose, start eating people.
Pretty good summary, to be fair.
Like I said,
I'm too far wrong with that one.
I'm nothing if not concise.
So, yeah, just to add to that, it's a Spielberg film for anyone that somehow has been living in a prehistoric cave somewhere.
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows Spielberg. Come on.
I even put, when I was sort of coming up with the episode and putting notes down and stuff like that, Spielberg, just in brackets, like you don't need to spell it out to anyone. But yeah, Spielberg film. You've obviously got the John Williams score in this, which is absolutely fantastic.
Wait.
And as Adam starts to do that, a majestic Brachiosaurus just moved past Beard HQ, and as soon as he stopped, it just vanished. I can't believe it. Extinct straight away.
How to do it.
It's iconic though. Every time you hear it, I get a little bit goosebumpy, and I enjoy the fact that even through we'll touch on the series in general, the franchise a little bit in like 5 minutes or so, but I like that they've still carried on with the John Williams sort of like score, and it's just lived through that, and that just reminds me of me being a little kid, like hearing that, like when it was on ITV and you used to watch it in like 6 chunks, and all the graphic stuff had been pulled out, and there were about 400 adverts in between.
They always, you know what they always take out? They always take out the scene where the lawyer is eating on the toilet.
You don't get the shake. You don't get the aggressive, apparently paleontologically accurate shake, to break all bones in the prey before they eat it, like a normal animal would.
Well, I mean,
you just see it go, and that's it.
Yeah, but I mean, what I thought, I did actually, I mean, I didn't really need to rewatch it, but I did rewatch about 63 minutes of it last night.
All right, okay. That's exact.
It got me thinking that actually, before we get into the food scenes, there are actually a lot of foods. It opens really arguably with a food scene, because the dude in the cage is eaten, dude's eaten by the animal.
We flipped it. This podcast is now for any of our dinosaur listeners out there. Any scene where a human and or goat gets consumed. Have you eaten goat before? Have you had goat? I don't think I've ever eaten goat.
Had a bit of curried goat, yeah.
Curried goat. I mean, the Rex just goes full on raw dog on that poor goat that had nowhere to go.
Yeah, he didn't show much mercy there.
Rip.
Indeed.
Or she didn't show much mercy there.
Yeah, because all the dinosaurs on Jurassic Park Island are female.
Or are they?
Also, you're led to believe.
And that's only because B.D. Wong, Henry Wu went and checked up all of their skirts, according to Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm.
Not that I want to get too technical really early on, but you know what always kind of bugged me about that film?
Yeah.
Is they say they fill in the blanks to create the dinosaurs from the DNA. Mm-hmm. With frog DNA, right?
Yes, I think I know where you're going with this, but keep going.
And I mean, everyone learns this at school at some point, right? That some frogs are, I don't really know what the word is for it. It's not androgynous. It's they switch sexes, right?
Yeah. Some fish can do it as well. Yeah, there's a few animals.
Yeah. So you would have thought that if they were going to pick some kind of frog DNA,
don't pick frogs, just in general,
or specifically don't pick the species. Which can, I mean, just pick a frog from like the Lake District or something. I don't know.
Just to add to that, and because in the later films they don't use amphibian or frog DNA, as far as I'm aware, but like dinosaurs, the two most closely related like overarching species that they're related to are birds and reptiles. So I don't get why they filled a gap in by not using a bird or a reptile. They just go for an amphibian. Like I don't know. It kind of skips over that. I think it might explain it a little bit more in the novel. I have read both of Crichton's novels. I think I reread one of them only a couple of years ago, actually, the first one. So I don't know if it goes into more detail.
You get too deep already.
Yeah, no, films and food. that's what we're going to books. But yeah, just to sort of round up this sort of the general stuff. So you've got some fantastic people in this. I mean, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum is I just love that man. I would love to just be able to just sit in a room and just talk to Jeff Goldblum about anything and everything.
You know what my first thought was when I watched this movie back? I thought if I was in Jurassic, that I would be Jeff Goldblum, you would be the accountant, or the lawyer who gets eaten.
He doesn't get eaten in the novel though, so I'll take the novel version.
No, he doesn't. My rationale for that was that Jeff Goldblum kind of just does a couple of quippy one-liners, opens his shirt, gets sweaty, and then gets almost mortally wounded, and spends the rest of the film just laying on a table. That's what I would do.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, fair comment. Fair comment. So you've obviously got the late great Richard Attenborough playing John Hammond. Fantastic, iconic levels to his role in that. I always see him as that. It's either that or Santa Claus. Really, are the two.
I think of him in that old World War II movie. I can't remember what it's called, but I get visions of him in that. But yeah, this is probably certainly for a more modern audience, arguably his most iconic role.
And it's the most parodied as well. Like in anything where they ever parody Jurassic Park, there is always the stand-in Richard Attenborough version, like mad, like creator Elon Musk level, like doesn't really know the science behind whatever they've done. I think Rick and Morty did a really good rip-off when they did Anatomy Park. I don't know if you've ever watched Rick and Morty.
I don't.
Where they basically went inside a person. It's just a massive parody of Jurassic Park, and they've got like some white blood cell that can talk. That is
Wait.
basically
This sounds like Inner Space. This is not a new idea. I might be giving my age away there, but Inner Space, Martin Short, Dennis Quaid, Meg Ryan. What a film. Anyway.
Yeah, it's probably a rip-off of quite a few things. Rick and Morty tend to just amalgamate loads of ideas. I thought I knew this, and then I must have just completely forgot. I didn't know that he passed away, but obviously you got Bob Peck, who plays Robert Muldoon, who's absolutely excellent.
That was... You normally whip out the fun facts, right? And I had a fun fact
Go on, I'll let you
this week.
take it, because it might be what I've...
Is it? Right, well, usually the film fellow over here gives us some fun facts.
I try to make them as fun as possible.
Yeah, the degree to which they are fun is often debatable. But I actually knew, I didn't research this, but I for some reason know that, Robert Peck, the dude that plays the tough guy, kind of Steve Irwin-style hunter.
Yep,
who
Kenyan gamekeeper.
Yeah, he meets an untimely demise at the hand of a rather...
The big one.
A hungry velociraptor.
As it's known, yeah, the big one.
Yeah, but anyway, the fact was, it kind of ties in with the podcast, is that's the Leeds connection. Did you know he was born in Leeds?
Yeah, I've got that. It's right here.
Come off it, man.
He's trying.
He's
trying his best. One day he'll drop a huge fact bomb on me that I haven't already found. But yeah, Leeds' very own Bob Peck. Yeah. Sadly, he died in '99 of cancer, and he actually died on. Well, it will have been one of my birthdays. He died on the 4th of April, 1999. So I might have to light a candle next year.
Yeah, he died an early death. That's sad, man.
Yeah, no, it is really sad because I in the comic book continuation of Jurassic Park, Muldoon survives. It doesn't explain how he survives, and in the book, in the novel, he doesn't die either. He actually survives. He's just an alcoholic game warden with a bazooka as well. He has a bazooka at one point.
He's an alcoholic.
Yeah, he's an alcoholic in it as well. Yeah.
I feel like a bazooka's not a bad idea if there's a T-Rex.
He tries to take on. There's 2 T-Rexes in the novel. There's like a junior and like an adult one. Yeah, he has like a rocket launcher or something like that.
See, I feel like they could have kept him alive if they did that the TV edit. Because if you ever notice in the TV edit, it's just kind of he turns to the left when he's hunting the
face,
one.
Clever girl.
Yeah, then he gets some.
You don't have the wrestling match after.
Yeah, afterwards it's covered up in the real version by a leaf, but you pretty much not graphically, but you see him getting his head chewed. Let's put it that way. Yeah. I mean, you could survive that, I suppose.
By a man in a rubber costume.
Yeah.
Because those scenes had blokes in giant rubber velociraptor costumes, which always blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like, the CG is great in these films. Obviously, this was like the turning point for like mega CG, really, wasn't it, as well? So, like, to still have animatronics and rubberized dinosaurs that still looked as good as the CG at the time.
Taking on my talking points here, I was going to say this is kind of a paradigm shift for CGI because this is really the first time they got kind of light shading right on CGI models and stuff. And it still stands. I mean, it looks a little dated if you watch it now.
You can kind of see the outlines now, can't you, at times?
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is 30 years old almost.
You can suspend your disbelief, basically, by watching it. I watched it last night on a Blu-ray copy that I've got because it seems to have been taken off of all the streaming services. So watching it, and I was like, yeah, it's still... You know, I watch stuff in like 4K now, but like watching it on Blu-ray, it still holds up, still looks fine. I could accept that if I saw it in the cinema.
Yeah, and it's well kind of punctuated by the animatronics because they are good, and I mean it helps that they're dinosaurs, right? So you don't really know what they would look like in the flesh, in the scale, so to speak. So I mean it's
well, Jack Horner, who was one of he's worked on like the first 3 or 4 of the Jurassic Park films, is one of the paleontologists that sort of works closely with the Jurassic Park stuff. Said at the time that the animatronic T-Rex was the closest he'd ever been to a real life T-Rex in his mind, based on all of his studies and stuff. He was like, this is pretty much bang on. Obviously, we now know more modern science. There's feathers involved and proto feathers and all that.
Good
jazz.
Lord, man!
I know, it's turned into a paleontology podcast.
This ain't like a science podcast, man. Let's move on.
Sam Jackson, Wayne Knight, B.B. Wong.
I always forget that Sam Jackson's actually in this till he turns up, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, he is in this.
He should have been in it more. Obviously, as we mentioned, we might have mentioned it last week actually, to do with the LA riots in.
We did, yeah. I know what you're getting at. He was in. They were going to use the LA riots, but I said it would be poor taste. With this film, they were going to use the hurricane, but I don't know. They used a bit of it, right?
Yeah, they used a bit of it, and obviously Sam Jackson was supposed to have like a full scene involving his also untimely demise of Ray Arnold. But they had to cut it all because all the set got destroyed by the hurricane. That's why you probably forget that he's in it half the time, because he's quite big billing, and yet he's only... You hear his voice a couple of times telling people to hurry up and get to the dock, and then you obviously see him in the control room, and that's it. And then you see a prop later on.
Prop dead hand.
Wayne Knight, really good in this as well. BD Wong, obviously, he's more prevalent in the later films as Henry Wu, but in this one, it's obviously nice and Ric Flair in the house.
I've just killed the levels on this now by shouting Wu in the cinema.
Yeah, if anyone's eardrums have gone, it's Beard's fault. But yeah, he's more prevalent in the book. We've got Martin Ferrero, who plays the lawyer Donald Gennaro, Joseph Mazzillo, who's suddenly started coming into things more recently, I've seen, and Ariana Richards, who plays Lex, who's the girl as well, who I don't think has been in much since that sort of era, like the 90s.
Is the kid, you know what I was thinking last night, is the kid the one that gets electrocuted because of his own, what's the word, fear of jumping from 10 feet in the air?
Yeah.
Is he the guy that plays Brian May in the Queen movie?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
man, I knew it. I thought
there you go. There's a fact that I'll let you have. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's just suddenly reappeared. People were trying to find out if he's coming back for Dominion next year, because obviously pretty much nearly everyone else is. But he kept quite coy. But it's because he was filming at the same time. But filming's changed because of COVID, so there might be a chance that he ends up being in it, which would be interesting.
I'd like to feign excitement, but they should really have just ended with Jurassic Park 1. In my opinion, but
I like the first two. The third one makes more sense based on the canonical, the 4 and 5.
No. Come on, it's kind of like the Die Hard trajectory. It goes 1 is the best, 3 is the second best. Then after that, I mean, they're all like 2. 2 is terrible.
You actually think 3 is the second best?
Because Sam Neill, isn't it?
Yeah, Sam Neill's fantastic, but the actual premise and plot and stupidity of half the people involved in what they do on the island really pisses me off.
The guy who decides to base jump inside the giant
the Pteranodon aviary. Yeah, I mean, there's some strange decision making going on in that film. It's not a terrible film in retrospect, but that will be one of my least favourite of the franchise. Anyway, we're not here to fight over which, because I'll win because it's my favourite franchise. So what I say goes. In 2018, did you know this film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress, being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant?
I mean, that is grounds for preservation. I agree with that. I mean, it's a big, like we said, it's a big shift in filmmaking. If nothing else, even if you don't like the film. I mean, who doesn't like Jurassic Park? But if you don't, you have to admit that it was a big shift in how films are, made.
Now, because of it, I find it quite funny that, if there is a doomsday scenario one day and someone just, some aliens or something or whatever dominates the planet after us finds...
Dinosaurs.
Well, dinosaurs just return, but they might do. And just finds this film... it's nice. I like the idea that it's been preserved forever as being like a very significant part of human history, and it's a film. I quite enjoy that. And then to add, the reason that we're kind of doing this before we move on is that Jurassic World Dominion, so the 6th sort of film installment, comes out next June. It was supposed to come out this June, so that's kind of the other reason why I thought we might as well do this, because it's
tenuous. That's a tenuous link, but a link nonetheless.
I take it you probably won't be watching that one.
I might, because I heard the rumor that they're getting the gang back together, the whole cast, like Sam Neill's in it, Jeff Goldblum's in it, right? So if those two are in it and he's still trying to nick Sam Neill's wife, she was going to be his wife, right? Oh, that was implied.
You said the third one was your second favourite film. She married a different guy.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. She was going. There was the idea that they were going to get married, but I found it quite interesting, because this is a personal thing. But Mrs. Beard, my fiance, she's always banging on about having kids, and I'm reluctant to the idea. So I felt kind of a kinship with Sam Neill's character at the beginning, how much he dislikes children.
And then you disowned him towards the end, where he suddenly becomes almost like de facto dad of the year.
I wonder if that's the reason I stopped at 63 minutes,
Right, this is the point where Grant gives up and caves.
Yeah.
Oh, God, well, remind me to... I mean, I'm not a child, I guess, so it doesn't matter, but, let's not get trapped on an island full of dinosaurs.
Wait a second. You are wearing a t-shirt that says Bingo Dino DNA.
We're waiting for him to notice. With Mr. DNA himself.
Yeah, indeed.
So look, I'm obsessed. I told you. This is my it's my time to shine. Is this episode? The only one line. Cause there's tons of lines. This, but before we move on, the one line that I picked out that I thought would be of a kinship to Adam is the find Nedry, check the vending machines. When he's disappeared. So Dennis Nedry is You know, he's of the...
He's portly.
He's
a portly.
He's a portly man who... he thinks he's a bit above his station, doesn't he, at work? And obviously he does some nefarious things, which is the first scene we're about to talk about. But I just find it funny that Hammond basically just drops the check the vending machines line in, just a sly little dig to see where he's gone.
That's a funny one, yeah, I like that.
Would you ever consider as a video? I was thinking, what if you just like get a load of like change and just try and destroy, eat a full vending machine?
Yeah, people have asked me to do that before. I mean, it feels a bit. I try to avoid gimmicky stuff as much as possible. Plus, I couldn't deal with it. If I got somebody else to put the money in and just kind of hand me the stuff, maybe. Otherwise, it'd just be too fiddly.
Well, there's one to think about. Anyway, that's kind of the reason I put it in. I just thought I'll quiz him, see if he'll ever eat a vending machine. Not the whole vending machine. I don't want him to die and get metal parts stuck inside of him. But yeah, if he ever fancies doing it, call it the Dennis Nedry challenge or something like that if you want.
I'll probably just call it the vending machine challenge. But yeah, okay.
It's probably got a better marketability to it, I guess.
Kids these days will be like, who's Dennis Nedry?
Well, speaking of Dennis Nedry, here is one of Wayne Knight's sort of main scenes, I guess. There's obviously a bigger scene later in the film, but it's got food in it, so should we talk about it?
Let's get to the food, come on.
We've got Beard here! No, it's obviously we've got Dodson. We've got Dodson here, and obviously Lewis Dodson doesn't want people to know that he's been a bit incognito and a bit sly, even though he's in a Costa Rican village where I don't think anyone would care who he is or what's going on.
I like the fact that he thinks the straw hat is it's like Clark Kent with the glasses. Yeah. Thinks the straw hat's going to protect his identity.
So just in case, again, for some reason, you're listening to this and you've never seen Jurassic Park and you've got no idea what the hell we're talking about, Beard, do you want to explain what this scene is?
Oh, yes. Essentially, Dennis Nedry, he's a bit of an uncouth character. Bit of you wouldn't call him a villain necessarily, but it's implied
he's fallen on hard times.
I was just about to say that. If you let me finish, film fella.
Sorry.
His financial situation is not quite as rosy as he would like it to be. So he decides he's going to smuggle some embryos of these created dinosaurs off the island, presumably to some kind of competitor company. It never really goes into that in the first film.
Biosyn.
All right, yeah, okay, we get it. And yeah, so in exchange for that, I think he's paid, what is he, $750,000?
Yeah, it's a $750K, and then, did you know the other number?
A similar amount upon delivery of them.
Yes, it's like 50 grand per embryo, and there's 15, so yeah.
So anyway, this dude turns up, Dodson, and he explains to Dennis how he can smuggle the embryos off the island using a can of Barbasol shaving foam.
Iconic.
Which has been like kind of James Bond style customized in order to be super cool. I don't mean in the sense that it's stylish. I mean that it's really cold to chill the embryos, and it can be inspected by customs. They won't find the embryos in there, and it does actually still squirt out shaving foam in case he needs to shave. But he's clean shaven, and you should never shave, kids. Just don't do that anyway.
Top tip from Beard. I mean, we both have beards of varying lengths. But yeah, obviously, Beard has got the beard in the room before he says anything about mine. I also like that when he's explaining. I've noticed it before. I didn't realise, but he says, "What? No menthol?" Because obviously you can get like a menthol like shaving foam, which sounds weird to me. But I haven't shaved in years. You haven't shaved in decades. So,
I can't imagine. I think I would kind of. It sounds like it would sting, especially if you're doing a close
It sounds
shave.
more like it's going to be an edible thing as opposed to something that you put on your face. But apparently that's a thing. But I do like that he gets really excited and giggly about it, doesn't he?
It then does the part directly after that does kind of hurt me a little bit on a spiritual level. Because he then puts the shaving foam on top of what looks like some cherry pie to me.
Looks like a pretty good slice of cherry pie, and I don't even know if it's his cherry pie. That could be just some poor.
I think it is because it's right next to him. I think he's just kind of got like a chain of stuff he might want to eat. Presumably it's cheap in Costa Rica, wherever they are, and he's just got some pie lined up. But we discussed this last week because we were talking about how food photographers and videographers and stuff like that, people that do food ads, they don't actually use food a lot of the time. So I gave the example that if you want cream on top of, say, a stack of nice, warm, fluffy pancakes, you might use shaving foam because it doesn't melt at room temp. But yeah, that ties in with last week. But yeah, it still hurts me a little bit that he puts this. Imagine how it's going to taste. Cherry pie, I love cherry pie as well.
What about if some poor, unsuspecting Costa Rican thought there was a nice tasty free slice of pie there. It goes back to kitchen because, I mean, the thing is, I feel like Nedry's the sort of bloke that would have probably wiped off the shaving cream and then eaten that pie after.
Oh, yeah.
Especially considering, like at the end, he's like, don't go cheap on me, Dodson. That's what Hammond did. That was Hammond's mistake, and makes him pay the bill as well as the $750,000 that he's just given him in a duffel bag.
Literally in a bag, yeah.
For whatever he's been eating as well. So I feel like he waste not, want not with Nedry. I feel like he'd have just wiped that off and eaten it anyway, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, there isn't really much else to say. There is some stuff to go along with that scene. Just some, I like to try and be a little bit factual, as we've said, and try and keep things fun. In the spirit of trying to keep things fun, one of these is about dinosaurs, so that's kind of fun. The other one is about sexual assault. So varying levels of, one of them isn't fun. I'm not going to say varying levels of fun. One of them is just not fun. So
I'm glad you cleared that up while we're in a room, locked in a room together.
Yeah, this is all I'm doing is just giving him more and more reasons to not want to do this podcast with him. So Lewis Dodson in the books, in the novelisation of Jurassic Park and the Lost World, is quite an important character. As Beard mentioned, it's for a rival genetics company. Obviously, InGen is the company that John Hammond runs, and is sort of like almost played off as like a villainous company after his death later on in the other films, because they tend to just do whatever the profit line sort of helps them with. The same is probably could be said for the company Lewis Dodson works for, which is Biosyn. So Lewis Dodson's actual character is quite important. Now, the guy who plays him in this one very small scene, and because you don't really see him properly, I don't think this will matter going forward, but he's played by an actor called Campbell Scott. He's not played by an actor called Campbell Scott. He's played by an actor called Cameron Thor. Campbell Scott is coming back to play the role of Lewis Dodson in Jurassic World Dominion. The reason for that is that Cameron Thor, which I keep getting confused between Campbell and Cameron there.
I've just realised if you just used his initial, it'd be C Thor.
Yes.
Thor. Anyway, go on.
Well, you probably don't want him anywhere near a kid's playground, because he's in prison currently for 6 years, which seems like a very small amount of time, for sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl in 2016. So,
good God, does that need to be in the podcast? I mean, I just came along to talk about food, and now we're getting into serious
I was just saying
crime.
that Lewis Dodson's character is coming back, but it's coming back as he's returning as Campbell Scott, which, fun fact, he plays Richard Parker, who is Spidey's dad in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield.
Oh, not the tiger from Life of Pi.
No.
That was called Richard Parker. And that's probably another film you haven't seen.
But no.
That's got a food scene in it as well. We could do that.
There we go. Look, every week, just a new food scene that reemerges as we talk about something else. So that was my slightly less fun fact. So he's not coming back, but the character's coming back because is an important character that they're emerging in Jurassic World Dominion. And then, as Beard mentioned, there's $750,000 on the table for these 15 species. Have you ever wondered what the 15 species are? Because I know what they are.
Please don't list every.
I'm going to read off the 15 species, and then Beard goes to sleep. So, as seen in the room, the ones that are physically seen in the room, there is a bit of an area of contention because there's two ways this could go. Beard is already losing me here. So, on screen, there is Brachiosaurus, Dilophosaurus, Proceratosaurus, Gallimimus, T-Rex, Velociraptor, Stegosaurus, Metriacanthosaurus, and Triceratops. And then there's another two vials that are labelled BA and CS. Now, BA is presumably Baryonyx, and CS is presumably Compsognathus. But on the Dinosaur Protection Group website that was created for the Jurassic World film, they also added in Parasaurolophus, Herrerasaurus, Segisaurus, Corymphosaurus, Pteranodon, Apatosaurus, and Troodon.
I feel like you're just saying Pokemon to me now. Like, you move off this part, man. This is not like seasoning to go with the food scenes. Can we?
Well, I was going to say it clashes with what is on Ray Arnold's screen, because there is another. Basically, there's more dinosaurs, but there's only 10 spaces in the Barbasol can. But there seems to be almost like 30 different species of dinosaur that are either on screen or are on the computer screen.
You're one of those people that would make a comment on one of my videos where I eat, like, I don't know, somebody's daily diet and I don't get the exact brand of rice that they eat or something like that. It was just the unnecessary levels of detail.
And with that, the ones on Ray Arnold's screen are pterodactyl. Okay.
Man, I nearly flipped the table.
You didn't even let me get to Styracosaurus or Microceratops.
I don't even know what they are, man. Michael Ceratops.
Yeah, Michael Ceratops.
Oh, man, that would have been a good joke. Not worth the build-up, but, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so basically, I was saying, there's an area of contention. And then, yeah, unfortunately, sort of rounding out that sort of scene or later on is the fact that, he's supposed to meet at the East Dock at 7 p.m, 18-minute window, 18 minutes to get all of them and get his company catching up on 10 years of research. But for those of you that have seen the film, it doesn't quite go down like that.
No, he gets brutally killed by a dinosaur. I think I could probably overpower looking at it. I feel like it's got a long neck. I feel like I could kind of like if in a life or death situation. I feel like I could maybe like drop the shoulder, boof from the side, and get it in some kind of headlock.
Tie its frills over his face.
It looks like it weighs like 6 stone or something.
It's the wrong. Apparently, it should be bigger than that in real life, but they made it smaller so that people didn't get confused with the velociraptors in the film. But in real life, it would be considerably larger than. It's bigger than a human person, basically, in real life. So whether they retcon that and that was a baby, I don't know. But it's still sorting Nedry out.
Even worse for Nedry if he got killed by an actual baby.
Venomous child.
Yeah. It's a show-off as well, Dilophosaurus, if you think about it. It's got that like kind of collar thing going on. It's like the Pharrell Williams of dinosaurs. Like, it's just a big show-off.
It just has too much going on for it, doesn't it, really? I think that they should have just calmed down a little bit.
You need to calm down a little bit. You might
I'm quite excited about dinosaur talk here. Right, so that is that scene. Shall we move on to what is probably arguably the main food scene in this film, or the one that most people will remember, I would imagine?
There are a couple in my head, but yeah, let's go on to whatever you want to talk about. Let's do it. Cheers, Lee.
I was waiting for Adam to get in there. Eventually, the joke will die off. Lee will probably counter-sue us or something for the music that he's done.
I'll stop.
So the scene that I'm talking about, and we've done it in order, so obviously the pie shaving cream scene came first. This scene is the infamous lunch scene. Alejandro's Chilean sea bass.
Say it properly. Alejandro.
I mean, John tries to tell Grant before this scene, when they're at the raptor paddock, that they've got a lovely Chilean sea bass waiting, but Grant's having none of it because he wants to watch the raptors on another food scene. Eat a large cow.
Yeah, they go at that cow, man. Yeah. They don't just eat the cow; they eat the whole kind of thing that's suspended in.
Yeah, just the whole thing. It'd be like you eating a plate or something like that after you've finished. To be honest, just talking about that scene though, it's a bit like Jaws in Steven Spielberg's it might have been his first film, Jaws, actually, where you didn't show much of the shark, but everyone else sees what's going on. And in that one, we don't see the raptors; you see them reacting to the raptors eating the cow. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought I'd quickly mention that.
It's good filmmaking device. You know what? I always wondered. Does he say we have a wonderful Chile and sea bass, or does he say we have a wonderful Chilean sea bass, as in sea bass from Chile? Because I feel like if it's the former, I mean, the chili is not the main part of the dish. You would say sea bass with chili.
No, you are correct. That is apparently when I was so obviously I watched the film again the other night, but then I went through and just checked the clips just so I could get some more details. And the comments section on YouTube for the lunch scene is loads of people like clearly having a joke between whether it's Chilean sea bass or Chilean sea bass. Like,
do we know which one it is?
But it is actually it's just a Chilean sea bass.
Ah, right. Well, that does make more sense.
Yeah, there is a video that I actually watched on YouTube, which I should probably plug, but I can't remember who made it. But you'll find it if you Google the Chilean sea bass. You'll obviously find a Binging with Babish video where he's recreated this.
Love Babish and Nick all his stuff.
Well, what do you think we're doing? Well, we're not, by the way, in case he ever does listen to this. This was my idea.
There's much chance of that, man. I don't think no risk of that.
But yeah, loads of people were debating what's in this. But you can now get the recipe off of some of the Jurassic Park marketing websites for Jurassic World and things like that. So the actual recipe is Chilean sea bass, green beans, halved cherry tomatoes, and then you get a crispy, spiralized, curly sweet potato fries on top.
To be fair, it does look nice. I mean, I love fish. I love seafood in general, and it does look good.
I mean, it's so good. Before we talk about the scene, we'll talk about the fish, because this is a food and a film podcast, and it's very rare we actually talk about the food so much as we do the scenes.
Yeah, amen.
So, did you know anything about the Chilean sea bass? coming into this, or does it just sound like any other fish with a name slapped on front of it to you?
I feel like there's going to be some Easter egg that you tell me. But as far as I'm aware, sea bass is sea bass.
This is a shocking
Chile.
Easter egg. So, in a film that is about extinction and the ethical nature of bringing things back and should things stay extinct, this fish, because of its inclusion in this film, was almost fished to extinction because of its mere mention in this film, and it became, because obviously Hammond is treating this fish as if it's like a upper class, quite fancy, posh meal. It's then through the 90s, early 90s, this fish actually became like a fish you would get on like a Michelin star restaurant.
It was overfished then.
It was overfished heavily. Its actual name is the Patagonian toothfish, and it would never have been eaten before, but some guy, I can't remember the name of this guy, saw a gap in the market because it's a huge fish. It can grow up to 200 pounds in weight, and it can live for about 50 years, and it grows to about 7 feet. So like people were just chucking it back in because, as the name implies, we're having toothfish. It's an ugly, black, oily, disgusting looking fish, really. The pictures, it doesn't look great.
But it tastes good.
It tastes good. So apparently,
No, I mean-
just for Beard's benefit, if he ever does get older, because you can buy it now ethically sourced, like it still exists. It is supposed to be a sweet white meat with a fatty taste because it's got a very high oil count. Like
It looks like when
to
you
it.
when you see it, you look. I mean, I wonder if they got the real thing, because you look at that and it's cut up into nice little slices in the movie, and it does look. It looks like a white meat fish, but it doesn't look like a light fish. So like say like a cod or a haddock.
No.
It looks like it has density and it is a bit oily, almost kind of like not quite a mackerel, but it does look like it has a bit of kind of, I don't want to say gaminess, but if you're into food, you'll know what I mean when I say gamey. It looks like it has a bit of oomph to it,
What do you mean if they're into food? They're listening to a film and food podcast. Of course they're into food.
Yeah, but it's 90% film, 10% food maybe.
and for once it's not a burger or
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, so there was actually a campaign during the 90s which has been successful, thankfully. Take a pass on Chilean sea bass, the campaign by...
My God, that is amazing marketing.
Yeah, so a lot of American chefs signed up to it, and basically you can still buy it. Like I mentioned earlier, Binging with Babish has obviously done a YouTube video on it. You can actually buy it. You just have to buy it from like ethically sourced fisheries and things like that.
I imagine regular sea bass wouldn't taste too much.
No, you could try it with regular sea bass. I think even when I watched to see how the recipe was for this, obviously to figure out how it was cooked and things, and you could replace it with cod and just cook it the same way, or a bit of haddock
Using
or something.
heat, I imagine, is how they cooked it.
You are.
Using heat.
Oh yeah, heat's a good start whenever cooking anything. Heat.
You ever seen? I saw a video come up and suggested on YouTube the other day, and it was called "Can I slap something to cook it?"
Yes, I've seen that. That does actually work, but it takes a ridiculous amount of slapping.
It doesn't work, surely. Come on.
It cooks it a little bit. You can put a thermometer in it and tested it, so you can go from having like raw chicken to like
Raises its temperature by 3 degrees.
But some people have made machines that like spank a chicken like at very, very high speeds for like hours. So yeah, it does cook it eventually.
I've just got the image in my head now. This machine, pure spanking this chicken.
Spank the chicken sounds like something completely different.
It sounds like a board game that would come out at Christmas.
Yeah, let's keep it like child friendly. Yeah? It's a board game that would come out at Christmas and not anything else that I was implying. So yeah, did you know that about the Chilean sea
Clearly,
bass?
I did not know. I mean, who the heck would know that? Come on.
Well, I didn't until I started doing the research for this. But yeah, I kind of want to try it now, but I feel a bit bad because also it's not endangered anymore, but it was. So bear that in mind, folks. If you ever see it on the menu, just double think. Have a check.
Check with the waiter or the maitre d'. Say, is this ethically sourced? Because if it's not, I'll go with the...
If it's not, the film fella told me not to. That's what you need to say. And they'll look at you and go, what? So yeah, coupon day. Need a coupon day. We could charge whatever we want for this. This is I'm going on to the scene now. So Gennaro has got incredibly excited after realising that dinosaurs walked the earth once again. And after it throws all of the ideas out of the window about all of the health and safety issues and, the one employee that's already died and a few that have been injured, and just decides that, yeah, we can charge whatever we want. Even though Hammond is a very rich man, he's not as keen on that idea, and he wants it to be for everyone because he's an idealist, isn't he? Really,
you do get the feeling that Hammond is, although a bit psychotic, He's trying to do good, isn't he? 'Cause he tells a little kind of a little story about his flea circus, which was the first thing he did when he came down quotes from Scotland. I don't know where he came down to, but yeah, and he kind of wants to entertain the kids. You know, it's clear that he loves his grandkids, right? So he just likes entertaining kids, not like the other guy you mentioned earlier in the podcast. If you don't cut that out,
no, no, it's staying in. So yeah, definitely don't entertain kids like that. We don't.
He actually likes, you know, he likes the idea of creating attractions that kids enjoy.
We'll remember forever.
Yeah, but yeah, the lawyer, the blood-sucking lawyer, as Hammond calls him, is a little bit more cutthroat. I mean, he goes quite quickly from, we could charge whatever we want, 2,000 a day, 10,000 a day. There's no, I mean, I'm feeling, not even, I mean, nobody's paying 10 grand a day. Come on. To go to a dinosaur island.
I mean, 2 grand a day is quite steep, unless that includes, like, your trip to Nublar and how you get to Costa Rica.
I feel like it's going to be a holiday, right? Because it's on an island. So, I could maybe 2 grand, all right. Maybe you could go 3, 4, but not a day. I mean, that's maybe like your week there, you know?
Yeah, like
still cheaper than the centre parks.
Attendances would be they'd be still high, but of no one that would actually, you know, keep this island sustained for very long. Because
don't you feel like the staffing levels are worryingly low as well? There's like about 6 staff for the entire island.
Yeah, well, they've not opened yet, have they? So I feel like it's kind of like on
soft launch.
Ghost. Yeah, it's like ghost staff.
I'm going to get into that in a little bit. If we discuss the other food scene, I think we're going to mention I have staffing concerns there too, but we'll get onto that.
Right. Okay. So if you got the coupon day, the main thing that sticks with me is the fact that all of your big hitter characters all have their own say. None of it's particularly good, or none of it's particularly what Hammond was expecting them to say. In Hammond's mind, he was expecting the 2 paleontologists, or the paleontologist and the paleobotanist, to be like, yeah, this is sick. Like, I can't believe. Well, they probably wouldn't say that in 1993, but they'd be like, this is amazing.
They would have said, this is cool, man.
This is proper radical. This is a radical new cool dope thing or something like that.
Dope is what they say now.
Oh, right. Oh, I don't know. I'm getting all mixed up. I'm not down with the kids anymore. But anyway, they do not agree. And then the chaotician, Ian Malcolm, who never really agreed and always likes to be a bit on the sort of like the edgy side of answering towards anything. He's not agreed with it from the get-go, and I think he was on the side of Gennaro originally when Gennaro, the lawyer, didn't really agree with what was going on the island, and he was like, see, I told you, blah, blah, blah. So you get the fantastic speeches from Jeff Goldblum where he's talking about, genetic power is the most awesome power the world has ever seen, but you wield it like a kid who's found his father's gun, which is fantastic.
Wait a second, I take issue with that, though. It's not the most, is it? I would say the H-bomb is probably the most awesome force. But anyway, I'll let you continue. You've not been attacked by a H-bomb either, but you've definitely not been attacked by a T-Rex. So, like, until that happens, maybe you might reconsider. You've obviously got the one of the iconic lines, which is the whole patent it, slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you just want to sell it. You want to sell it, which is. I always saw all the merchandise in this film, like in the gift shop when it pans across from the next scene we're about to talk about, and I always wanted all of them as a kid, so I would have probably bought the plastic lunchbox. I feel like there's a certain irony in that because I remember when this movie came. How old were you when this film came out?
Well, I was born. I was 2 months old when this film came out. So I watched it when I was like 2-3 year old and still remember.
I was like 7 or 8. So I remember all the merchandise, so it's kind of a certain hypocrisy in them taking the piss out of the fact they're going to merchandise it when the actual filmmakers so heavily merchandised it.
Yeah, and I think it's sold, like those toys were like some of the, like obviously I was quite young at the time, so I didn't get them till I was a bit older, and it meant that there wasn't as much stock. But I think when that film initially came out, those Kenner like Jurassic Park action figure toys and stuff were like the number one. Like
I had one with I had like the rubberized dinosaur, which was just cool anyway, but it had a little piece of flesh.
I had
in
that T-Rex
which you could remove, and it like showed the rib cage, which I thought was a little bit. They all had
like battle damage, didn't they? Even though there's not really any of that in the film, but all of these dinosaurs had little rubbery battle damage pieces.
Yeah,
there was also like a ton of dinosaurs that just weren't in the film. There's loads of toys, but like you said. They patented it, they slapped it on a toy.
On a lunchbox.
And sold it. And then you've obviously got the other iconic line, which is so preoccupied with if you could rather than, your scientists thinking if they should or not.
I often get that before I'm about to do a video, I often think that. I could eat 50 apple pies, but should I eat 50 apple pies? Should I?
Should have listened to Ian, man.
I love the way he delivers it as well. Like, I've never seen somebody do an impression of Jeff Goldblum because I think it couldn't be done.
Well, he stops, doesn't he? He doesn't stutter. It's not like a stutter. He just sort of, it's almost like he's thinking about his next sentence before he said it.
He's got kind of a sexy way of talking as well.
Yeah.
He's got kind of it's almost kind of an erotic way of speaking. I love Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, no, I can't get enough of him. His Disney Plus show where he just explains like random thing, like how a bike's made or how his ice cream made or whatever. There's a Disney Plus series with Goldblum.
And I'm not going to buy it, but I mean, I could probably rip some clips somewhere, right?
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. There is clips.
Why does he undo his shirt halfway through the film as well? You ever wonder that? He exposes his kind of slightly damp, hairy
He's
chest.
sweaty. He's got a bit of an infection going on from his attack, and so he's probably just got a bit warm and sweaty.
Maybe, yeah.
I've got a the little pop figurines. I've got a Jeff Goldblum laid down with his shirt up, and it cost me about £30. But I'm an obsessive, so
Money well spent.
yeah, I always just take a little peek at it before I go to bed. And on that note, I'll move on. So obviously, Hammond obviously mentions the condors thing, which we mentioned on the previous episode. I can't remember why, but we did. We definitely mentioned it in this room because I think I said albatrosses, which I felt really bad because this is my film, so I can't believe I forgot that it was condors.
Yeah.
So the ethical stuff there, as we mentioned about that, the Patagonian toothfish / Chilean sea bass. Maybe if John put his mind to work, he could have sorted them out instead of having them in his film and making them extinct by everyone eating it.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a really cool line that I never realised that Jeff rolls out right at the end where he says, "I call it the rape of the natural world." And I've never...
He's a bit dramatic over there,
He's a little bit when he gets cut off at that point, and I think they ask Laura Dern what her thoughts are, to which she then also goes in on Hammond saying that all the plants are poisonous and why?
Poisons the Triceratops, isn't it?
Yeah, there's Indian lilac or something like that. So it does make sense. It's weird that there's all this money that's gone into it, but it is showing, like you were mentioning the other week, to do with bureaucracy of things and stuff like that. That this guy is obviously wanting to make the best theme park in the world to entertain everyone. He's not like cut corners because obviously he's spared no expense. He's spent as much money as possible, but he's just not really thought about it. He's kind of just gone, oh, those look nice, so we'll just buy them.
That's what Malcolm's getting at, isn't it? He's
Yeah.
saying, it didn't take any discipline to attain it, is the line that he uses.
Yes.
Because it was other people's theory, totally bunk theory that won't actually ever work, but a theory nonetheless. And he's talking about, it's the same as when we talked about Falling Down last week. How capitalism kind of destroys what would otherwise be, if it was more conscientiously conceived, a good idea. Well, maybe not a good idea. They're bringing back an extinct species, but you get what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I get what you're getting at. I mean, I won't mind an extinct species coming back. The thing is, they are trying to bring down, between the Elon Musk tweet, which they didn't ever explain, his company tweeted like a few months ago saying that they could do it if they wanted to, and then it was definitely a marketing thing just to get people talking about him. Jack Horner, who's the guy I mentioned before, has got a theory, and he's trying to de-evolve a chicken into a chickenosaurus. Have you seen this?
I feel like we don't really need to go down this.
We don't need to go down it, but it is something...
First of all, it's devolve. And second, a chicken.
Yeah, because it's one of the closest living relatives to a Tyrannosaurus Rex is a chicken.
Oh man, how the mighty have fallen. It was once the most feared predator on planet Earth. Now it's been eaten in large quantities by bodybuilders.
They've both got tiny arms. But yes, what you were saying about the mosquito amber thing, that's not possible. But the other thing is, we won't go into detail on that. And then Grant finally sticks the nail in the coffin by saying, dinosaurs and man, two species separated by 65 million years of evolution. How could we possibly know?
I feel like his is more grey, though. He's not really a detractor,
just like
is he? It's like Malcolm's the really hard line, no, stop it. Laura Dern, is that the
Ellie Sattler, but Laura Dern, yeah.
So her character, she's a bit like, nah, you've kind of messed up, but still. And then Grant's kind of just like states a fact, which is neither positive. He's like, well,
we don't know.
We don't really know what's going to happen.
Shrug.
Yeah, and the lawyer. So on balance, I reckon with the lawyer and himself in tow, he's probably got a more positive than negative reaction, really.
Till the end of the film where he changes. But at that time, yeah. And then like you said, just to round this out, you've obviously got Hammond saying that the only one on his side is the blood-sucking lawyer, to which Gennaro actually takes like compliment to that. He's like quite...
Yeah,
he like giggles at it, don't they? Which is quite fun.
To him, that's like a badge of honor, because he's saying, yeah, I am a bit grubby and I'm the guy that's going to make tons of money, It'd be like somebody calling me filthy. I wouldn't take exception to that,
And with that is that scene done. Should we move on to the ice cream scene?
Yeah, sure.
You kind of touched upon it before.
Is it? I don't think of ice cream in my head.
We'll get to it. So we're going to round the podcast out with two scenes. We'll just roll them in together because they're quite short anyway. So you already mentioned that in this scene, just for a quick explainer, the kids have fallen into the Tyrannosaurus Rex paddock and they're moving presumably to these characters' mindsets. They're still alive potentially and trying to get out of the park with Grant. They've got Malcolm back. He's on some morphine. Power's out, and everyone's just having a bit of a sad time really as things slowly. As Malcolm mentioned before, the chaos theory thing, everything just is slowly falling into chaos. And there's a scene. It shows you the gift shop, like I mentioned before, which is, I always wanted all those little stuffed like T-Rexes and like
you said that a couple of times now. You're not going to get them. I'll buy you one for your birthday.
And then it moves on to showing Hammond at the table eating a lot of large gallons of slowly melting ice cream.
Yeah.
With Ellie Sattler, and that's basically. Then this whole scene is him. It's his realization that he's kind of like ballsed up. I think it's him starting to realize he's still trying to convince Ellie that what he's doing will work and they just need to iron out the kinks, and that he's, you can tell in this scene that he's genuinely doing it as Beard mentioned before. He wants kids to be happy, he wants families to come and enjoy what he's created, and it's where he sort of mentions his origin, coming down from Scotland and having his little mechanised flea circus where kids at the time didn't realise they weren't real fleas and all that kind of thing.
They're not real fleas in flea markets? Flea circuses? Not flea markets.
but I've just ruined it for everyone.
Oh man, that's like finding out Santa Claus isn't real.
The only reason I've kind of included it's a really impactful scene. It's one that I think really stands out because you get in that realization by him that he's messed up, and also you get in the it's kind of what Crichton's novel's all about. That man can't control creation, man can't control. If the power's gone out, there's things that can happen that we just don't have control over. We never will. And as Ellie says in that particular scene, like he goes, next time creation is an act of sheer will. And she just reminds him that it's basically, it's still the flea circus. You never had control. It's an illusion. Basically she didn't have enough respect for all the power when they were there because they were all just amazed by it. But now it's out and people are dying. And then it just ends with her having a little lick of what I think it looks like strawberry ice cream. I'm going to go with.
Is it? You reckon? Could be.
It looks. It's not dark. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's quite. I mean, could you eat all those gallons of ice cream? Do you reckon?
I can't really recall how many there are.
There's I would say there's two big, maybe slightly bigger than a KFC bucket levels of ice cream, and then a couple of big gallon you'd see in an ice cream vendor.
Maybe not.
There's maybe 5 or 6 on the table.
6 gallons.
He's just picking at. Yeah.
I could no, definitely not.
Death by ice cream.
That would be death by ice cream. Yeah.
I mean, I don't assume that neither of them sat there. I mean, there'd be a lot of running. They do a lot of running about later on, so to be full of ice cream will be pretty bad, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it goes through pretty quick. They'd be making use of those Jurassic Park toilets.
A few of them got destroyed. So.
Yeah.
She's eating it. Says it's good, and you get the iconic line that is mentioned several times. Hammond saying that he spared no expense, even on the ice cream. Adam, he got the. Do you reckon some Haagen-Dazs maybe, or
no? I mean Haagen-Dazs pretty cheap these days. Ben and Jerry's, I suppose.
Ben and Jerry's back in '90s when it wasn't as mega popular.
'90s.
In '90s.
Yeah, maybe when it was more. No, it doesn't look like it's got much in it, So maybe it's Haagen-Dazs,
or maybe a really just specialist organic ice cream.
Maybe it's made by Alejandro.
Yeah, it could be. He could make it himself
from the cows that they feed the T-Rexes. They milk them, make the ice cream, then they
use
feed
everything. Yeah. I can get down with that. It's interesting. I've never really thought about. Do you think they clone all the food?
I mean, it would be remiss of them not to, right? It would be a bit of a waste.
If it's quite easy to, according to them, clone a dinosaur, you might as well just clone a factory of cattle.
How are they getting the cows over there? It's a flipping island in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they feed in Jurassic World in the when it started again. They feed the Mosasaurus a great white, and I'm pretty sure that it mentioned somewhere that they are cloned great white sharks just for the purpose of feeding.
It's like a hideous kind of. Clone. It's like only the sheep was the beginning, and that's where we go if we go down that road,
It solved world hunger. I mean, he could have solved world hunger, and instead he built a dinosaur park.
Yeah, clone some watermelons or something. I don't know. what else can you eat? There's like beans.
It's a strange one. I never really thought about that until we were getting onto that. But yeah, the dairy cows, maybe they clone the dairy cow. Maybe that's where the ice cream comes from. But there's not really much else to mention in that series. Is there all else you actually really want to mention? I just thought it's got ice cream in it. We mentioned milkshake on the podcast before.
I ate a bunch of ice cream the other day. I was in Cambridgeshire. Yeah, the video's not gone out yet. I was editing it before I came here.
Right.
But I ate a bunch of ice cream with donuts on it and pretzels and Mikado sticks on the top. It was just...
That sounds pretty good.
You
like a good dessert, don't you?
Yeah, but they didn't really think it... I mean, it was nice. It was good. They didn't really think it through. It had like 40... Either Pockies or Mikados on the top. I don't... You know those kind of long breadstick things with a bit of chocolate on them?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's that preview to my next
I'm
video.
Say, I'm not gonna try and find out what happened. You're gonna have to watch YouTube and find out what happened next.
Naturally, I finished it, but you know.
I mean, it's a dessert. It's just what you do, right? So there's no point putting a transition in for this because it's a very, very short scene. I mean, we could talk about the scene that follows it, but there might not be any point. It's the infamous jelly wobble.
Yeah, you know what concerns me about this though is let's set the scene a little bit.
Yeah, go on.
They're kind of back in the. What is it?
It's the visitor centre, like the
but is it an actual restaurant? The area they're in, it looks a bit like a hotel buffet style thing.
Yeah,
it's like an open area. Mm-hmm. There's some kind of suspended artwork and stuff. And
I've got a fact about the mural, but I'll let you keep going.
Well, I don't want to take the glory of the moment. Is she sees the silhouette, the shadow of a velociraptor behind. Is it called Timmy?
Tim, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what makes the jelly wobble. But before we actually get to that, what concerns me is the amount of gelatinous food on that table.
There's a lot in there.
I'm concerned about that if Jurassic Park actually had launched fully, my concern would be the lack of fresh desserts, man. I mean, there's so much Jell-O salad on the table. It's ridiculous. Everything's wobbling.
It's weird. It's an early warning system for if they do get in. Like every time, it's just like, right, all of the food has to be gelatinous, otherwise we don't know if help's approaching or not.
Yeah, I didn't think about it like that. Safety mechanism.
Instead of alarms to frighten people, just like watch your jelly just slightly ripple as it goes. But yeah, I've actually put here, I don't know, I mean, you probably have a better eye for this than I do, a tried. But like, there's like a trifle, there's a couple of trifles, like a gâteau-y thing. A blancmange, maybe?
Exactly. Everything is wobbly. There's a bit of there's some chocolate cake. She's eating chocolate cake.
Yes.
But I mean, that's probably Sara Lee. You could freeze that and thaw it out. So I'm thinking Alejandro's specialty is probably, I mean, he's only one chef. They suggest that there's only one chef on the island. So he's spent on the whole Chilean sea bass. He's put all his energy into that. Everything else is just jelly with like fruit in it or blancmange.
I'm a little bit concerned with Lexi's. She mentions that she's a vegetarian, because when she sees when the goat initially comes out, she says she's a vegetarian because Gennaro asks if they've never had lamb chops before.
Yeah,
she's like, no, I'm a vegetarian, and a brother bullies her. On her plate, obviously to carry on that theme, everything is green, including she's got green Jell-O, which is the indicator of this fear. But she's got like broccoli, like some green beans. Like it's just a plate of like green vegetables and green Jell-O. It's very weird.
Sounds delicious. Also, there's gelatin in jelly, which is not vegetarian.
No, well, she messed up there.
I mean, she's like 9, so I give her a break. But she done messed up there.
But yeah, I did think I made a note of that. It's the only real significant thing. I do like. I think again, just going to the scene aspect of it. Just captures the terror really well. She's got it on her face perfect for that. And the way that it then incites terror onto Tim, because they think they've only been there like a few minutes. Grant's gone to go find Ellie. They've literally just sat down, and as you probably would when you spent like 48 hours walking from one side of an island to another and dodging teeth at every corner, I'd dive into a chocolate cake or something like that. I mean, what on all of that, your go-to would have been like a cake, right? Surely, maybe, or would you have gone for something to sustain you more? Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that.
That's you emulating the level of terror on her face.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind a little bit of jelly. I'm not a huge fan of it. I probably would have gone with a chocolate cake. Yeah, if I've been blasting around, but I mean, there's not much
sugar. There's sugar in you.
Yeah. There's not much protein around on Jurassic Park Island, is there?
Unless you are the protein.
Unless you are the protein. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, that scene, because I'm thinking Timmy's only recently been electrocuted. Not sure it's a great idea for him to be bashing like an entire chocolate cake. You know, it might have some kind of it might have some kind of electrical interference with his heart.
Yeah.
Or cause that.
Yeah, probably in hindsight, not a great idea, but he's a kid, isn't he? And he's like, what, 7?
You should have jumped, man. Whenever I watch that movie, I'm just like, just jump off the flipping fence.
Let go, he'll catch you.
You notice how far he flies back from the fence too?
Yeah. I think he'd just let go, otherwise he would have died. I think he must have just let go as he got zapped. Otherwise, I feel like he would have probably.
What would have happened in reality is his fist would have clenched and he would have been stuck on the fence like,
yeah. And end of film. End scene.
Yeah.
I will round this out though. That mural, I always really, really liked that mural. Like, I just thought it was a really good piece of artwork. Did you know that it's based on Yale Peabody's Museum of Natural History, and they have The Age of Reptiles by Rudolf F. Zallinger?
Yeah, I totally knew that.
I know you didn't
I can't
know
believe
that.
you know that as well.
Well, I actually did know that. I knew this before research. I had to remember what the name of it was, but I knew that it was in Yale's Natural History Museum. And basically, it's based on that. But that original mural is like what people thought dinosaurs looked like in like the, I don't know, I want to say like 30s, like the 1930s. So all of them are like very upright and very lizard-like. And I think it's like for historical, you know, like to remember how people once fought compared to like how the studies have gone now. It's quite an important mural. Like, I think they've renovated it and redone it recently because it needed a bit of TLC. But yeah, if you're ever near Yale Museum of Natural History, if you go in there, you can be like, yeah, the film fella told me, The Age of Reptiles by Rudolf F. Zallinger.
Yeah. I've just got Scrubs, No Scrubs by TLC in my head now.
And with that, shall we move on to the outro?
Let's.
And yeah, that's the end of episode 4. Done and dusted, in the bag. How do you
Yes.
feel?
I feel like you got far too excited about the dinosaurs and the general research behind it. But yeah, it was good to talk about food, which isn't, you know, just burgers. Like you said, we talked about Chilean sea bass and the effect that this film had
Yeah.
on its survival as a species, which was interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, going into this, I didn't know that either. I always wanted to, I think I'd watched, like I mentioned before, we are both fans of the Binging with Babish YouTube channel, so I have watched that video of him recreating it, but I must have skipped past the bit where he even mentions that this fish is like quite hard to get hold of now, and he had to go through a ethically sourced fisherman to be able to get it and all his carry on.
See, that's the dedication it takes to be what does he have, like 8 million subs or something?
Yeah, 8 million subs. You've got
Had
a way
that
to
been
go.
me-
Yeah, you're nearly there though.
I would have just been down Costco and picked up a bunch of, I don't know, flipping cod or
Some halibut or something like that.
halibut. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we've learned some things on this one. And this is my favourite film of all time. So if I did get a little bit sidetracked by naming dinosaurs,
A little bit. You could say that.
Try to prove that big brain energy that I know I have from when I was like 3 years old.
I think I'll get a similar level of excitement when we do Green Book though, because I love that film.
Yeah, and I mean, I still have yet to watch it, so mine will be a fresh take when we do that, whereas yours will be pure excitement of the. It's like a road trip, right? Is that correct? We'll save it for next time, though.
It's dumbing it down a little bit, yeah. But do we know what we're doing next week? I feel like we should give
Don't know.
teasers. No,
What do you want to do?
I don't know. I feel we should just give people this is
Little teasers.
next
I mean,
week.
you kind of just thrown Green Book in there. Maybe.
No, that's a Christmas one. I told you we have to. That's technically a
We've
Christmas
got
film.
it sounds like we've got like a month of Christmas films at this rate, based on what you said last week.
Just
So
two, man. Just Green. Well, I mean, it's not really a Christmas movie, but it ends at Christmas, so it kind of is.
Maybe we could leave a vote. I don't know if we'd have enough time. What if we told people about 2 different ideas? And
Well, we won't come to
vote?
Green Book just yet. We'll do another one next week, which I'm a little bit less partial to.
What about some like an oldie but a goldie? What about like either Matilda or the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah, I suppose we could do either of those. Yeah. You put up a vote on Twitter.
We'll put up a poll / a vote on Twitter and Instagram and wherever else that I can stick it in. All 7 people that follow our Twitter account can get
It'll be
involved.
like, I'll vote, you vote, and then I don't know, maybe
50-50, and then we'll have an argument about it later. Yeah. But that being said, you can find us you should be listening to us, but if you want to tell your friends, we're available on all podcast providers. For some reason, Apple Podcasts, we are on there, but it doesn't go up on the Friday. There is some sort of weird delay. I've been on at them. I've been on to Mr. Apple, whoever's in charge of Apple right now.
It's not Steve Jobs.
It's not Steve Jobs. They were less than helpful. They just said that it takes time, which doesn't help us. But yeah, if you want to listen to it on there, you're going to have to wait, unfortunately. Or just go on Spotify or something like that and find us on there. We're on there.
Wait, do we have the Spotify exclusive deal yet?
We're one step close to a Spotify exclusive deal. We just
day.
need to keep going. Eventually, we will get a Spotify exclusive deal. I've said it now, so it's got to happen, hasn't it? You know. Make sure that you give us a subscribe. If you're on Spotify, you can follow us. Hit the plus symbol if you are on Apple Podcasts and you eventually get episode 3 and 4 at some stage in your life. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, whether you listen to it on there or not. That will help us.
A good review.
Yeah, we've had one bad review, but it doesn't actually. There's no context to it. We've just.
What does it say? I need to know what it says.
No, we don't know what it says. It's just a 1-star review by someone. We've got a load of 5-star review. We were a healthy 4.6 out of 5, but that 1 star has dragged us down.
Oh man, 1 star.
So someone clearly doesn't like us and doesn't want to tell us. I mean, own up. Come tweet us. Tell us what your beef is. I'll send Adam round. But yeah, if you want to review us on there, you can do that. That'll help us get in front of more people who have never heard of. Well, they definitely haven't heard of me, but they might have never heard of Beard, which is a shock. If you want to find us on Twitter, Instagram or Facebook, you can do at Movie Mouthfuls. It's all the same. If you want to find myself, I'm over on Twitter at @thefilmfella_, and you can also find me on YouTube. Just search for The Film Fella. I do film and TV reviews. I haven't done any for a while. Obviously, I will eventually go back to doing that. That's why I keep mentioning it, and Beard keeps scolding me for not doing it. So one day I will return. Beard never wants to say where he is, but you're everywhere, right?
Yeah, like the Matrix.
Omnipresent on the internet. Just search for beard meets food, or man with beard pushes food into orifice, or
you can
something to that
search
extent.
on Pornhub. Yeah.
It's going to be really awkward if someone one day comes back and goes, oh yeah, I searched for it. You actually are on there, but it's not like it's just someone's uploaded one of your videos.
That would be disturbing, yeah.
Man goes down on hot dog or something like that. Go on, get a bit graphic on this podcast.
I know, come on, stop it.
If you fancy sending us any questions or you've got anything that you want to say, you can tweet us. That would probably be the best option, or you can try and slide into us DMs. But if you want to be a bit more formal, then you can email us at moviemouthfuls@gmail.com. I've yet to have a lovely email drop in and tell us what we should watch or why you don't like us, or, sponsorship deals. Someone must be listening who wants to sponsor us, so slide on in.
I can't imagine why. But maybe they did until they heard you list every single species of dinosaur ever recorded.
Maybe we'll get some funding from some paleontological society or something like that. Who knows? Who knows? If you want to support us...
Don't do the Patreon push.
I'm doing the Patreon push. Patreon.com/moviemouthfuls if you wish to do so. Obviously, times are hard, so if you don't have to, we're fine. We're perfectly fine. But if you want to support us, we'll put every single one of your pennies back into the podcast, and we'll try and do some sort of nice things for the people that do that.
What kind of nice things?
I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to imply.
Well, I'm worried about what you're signing me up for. Yeah.
I don't know. A shout out maybe to begin with, and maybe we'll have his own chat service where you can message and we'll answer some questions on an episode or something like that.
Are we on Cameo yet? I mean, I'm on Cameo. Are you on
Are
Cameo?
You on Cameo? Well, I don't think I'm quite big enough for Cameo. Mine would be like 5p or something.
Well, mine's minimum price because I'm an idealist like John Hammond.
There you go. He just wants to bring smiles to everyone, don't you? Wish
Indeed.
everyone a happy birthday.
Indeed.
In the most half-assed tone possible.
I do it I put a good amount of energy in.
Oh, wow. There you go. You don't want to push our Patreon, but it'll push his own Cameo. As always, big thanks to Lee. Hopefully, at the time of listening to this, we will have entered the My Roadcast competition that we've recorded for. Again, I messaged Lee at the 11th hour to get some music for that. So if that all goes well, thanks again, mate. I'm sorry. I will leave you alone at some point. And we'll be back very soon. But until then, remember that life always finds a way.
Indeed.
Peace. I thought you were going to do like a dinosaur noise or something.
That was like a chicken, which is a dinosaur, right?
Yeah, it's the closest living relative to a T-Rex. There we
Always
go.
thinking.
And in a bit, guys,